Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute. I was supposed to post 3 videos last week, and it didn't happen because my classes, so sorry, let me scrap that. I'm in college for paralegal studies, and it's supposed to be an in-person class, but obviously with COVID-19 going on, everything has been switched to online, and they started doing that last week. So I've just been trying to get a handle on that. And but yeah, so I've pretty much got my schedule set with that so I can get back into filming. Today's video is going to be a book review, so if you are interested in hearing my thoughts on A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, keep on watching. Okay, so before I start this video, I'm going to disclaim what I disclaim in every single video, and that is if you hear my Great Dane crying upstairs, she is not hurt or dying or anything of the above. She's absolutely fine. She's just very whiny and loud, and that's just how she is. Although I'm pretty sure she's asleep, so maybe she'll stay asleep for the duration of the video, but I could just be lying to myself. Anyways, so today I wanted to talk about, I think it's the first mystery that I read for the year. Is it? I don't know, possibly. It's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it's written by Holly Jackson. I had a lot of thoughts about this book, and I wasn't originally going to do a review about it because I don't like to do reviews for mystery novels because then spoilers come out, but I will do like a general overview of my thoughts and like the summary of it first, and then when I get to the part where spoilers may come up, I will let you guys know. So if you want to click out of the video at that point, you can. But for right now, I'm going to give you the general details of the book. So it came out last year, May 2nd, 2019. It's 433 pages. It's a 10-hour and 53-minute audiobook. And it's a YA murder mystery. My review is going to be focused on the audiobook version of this book because that's how I read it, or listened to it, if you will. So reading it, you might have a different tone, obviously, because you're reading it in your head and you're prescribing voices to these characters yourself. So I'm going off of the audiobook just to make that clear. And I also have my notes written in my famous red book. So yeah, the summary of this book, just general summary, no spoilers. Where was I? Okay, yeah, so 5 years ago, a girl named Andy was killed by a boy named Sal Singh, who happened to be her boyfriend at the time. This takes place in a really small town, so the police and everybody all believe that Sal did it, and he was convicted of the murder. Mind you, because it's such a small town, it almost kind of had like a witch hunt feel to how Sal was convicted, but we can get into that later. 5 years later, Pippa, the main character, is a senior in high school, and she doesn't believe that Sal actually committed the crime. So she decides to use the case as her topic for her senior project, or her capstone project, depending on what you call it. So yeah, she decides to use the case for her senior project, and she starts to find out that there's a lot of secrets and loose ends with the case that don't really add up if Sal really was the murderer. So she decides to dig further and find the truth about what happened, even though there's somebody, what is she doing? Even though there's somebody who's like actively trying to stop her from finding out the truth. So that's the general summary of it. And then I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I'm going to explain why. Again, there's no spoilers at this part. So my first star I gave it for because it was really well written. Like it was enjoyable to listen to, and that's because of the mixed media. So there were newspaper articles, voice recordings, and emails that you got to listen to throughout the audiobook, and I really enjoyed that. I really thought that added something nice to the writing of the book. My second star was for it not being too long. Oh my god, this is literally my pet peeve. I hate when books are too long. And that's controversial because there are some people who love to read like 900-page books. That's great for you. I'm not targeting you, but I can't stand it. Especially when it's one thing if a book is long and it needs to be that long because there's just a lot of character building and settings that need to be set up or whatever. But in most cases, I find books are long just for the sake of being long, and I was really happy to see that this wasn't the case. It was the perfect length. It didn't drag or anything like that. Like, it was just concise. It moved quickly. There was no dull moments in the book, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Like, I will give a book a 2-star review if it is too long because it drives me nuts. I gave another star for the characters. I thought that they were really well thought out and unpacked. I didn't see any two-dimensional characters. Even the characters that weren't that big in the story, like the secondary characters, they still had a little bit of character building going on. So I was never left wanting like, well, like, why was this person in the book? Like, they didn't need to be in it. Like, everybody played some sort of role in the book some way. And I enjoyed that, because I hate when there's just like meaningless characters in the book. Like, that aids in a book being too long when you add miscellaneous characters that just don't need to be there. This one, especially being that it was mystery, it was nice that all the characters played some sort of role. And then my next star, I gave it because I liked the plot of the book. That's just my personal preference. It unfolded really nicely, as I said earlier. There's no lagging in it, and I liked that, especially for a mystery, I like the mysteries to unfold and not just kind of be like, well, bam, that's what happens. So this one unfolded really, really smoothly. There was layers to it, and I enjoyed that. I took a star away because of the suspension of disbelief. And obviously, going into any fictional story of any genre, there's going to be a suspension of disbelief. For me, in this case, there was just a lot of it, and it was a little bit annoying. And that's what I'm going to get into later into the video, which it might be a little bit spoilery, but we're not. Oh, actually, are we there yet? Is there anything else I wanted to add in? Sorry, yeah. So overall, it was a 4 out of 5 stars. Well written. The characters were really good. I liked the main character. I liked the plot of the book, and then what did I do? Oh, and the book wasn't too long, and then it stayed at 4 stars instead of 5 because of the suspension of disbelief. That's my general review of the book. It is a well-written book. It's enjoyable to read. I would recommend it. I did, especially for the audiobook. Okay, actually, I want to talk about the audiobook itself, because there were a couple problems that I had with listening to the audiobook. I can't remember if I believe it said full cast, but it wasn't a full cast. Like, there was a woman who played a couple of women characters in the story, and her voice didn't change enough for me to draw a distinction. So there was some points where I did get a little bit confused there, and that was slightly annoying. So I didn't mind the overall performance, but that aspect of the performance I didn't like. I swear I can speak. I don't know what's wrong with me today. So for the audiobook performance portion of it, I believe I also gave it 3 out of 5 stars, just because the voices weren't consistent and there wasn't enough distinction between the voices. So that just made it a little bit confusing and a bit annoying. But other than that, like, the audiobook was really nice to listen to. You could clearly hear distinction between, like, when it was a voice recording or when they were reading out an email or when they were reading a newspaper, text, and stuff like that. So I did appreciate that. Other than the one woman's voice, I was okay with the performance of the audiobook. Now I want to get into a little bit more detail for the things that I didn't like in the book. So this is the portion where spoilers may come up. If you haven't read the book and are interested in reading the book, I would click out now. If you have read the book and want to hear further thoughts on it, keep on watching. And if you're like me and don't really care about spoilers in books, then you can keep on watching as well. So yeah, I was reading a lot of the 1-star, 2-star, and even some of the 3-star reviews on Goodreads, just because I wanted to see how other people felt about the book as well, and kind of gauge where I was. Obviously I did this after I read the book, and after I gave my own rating. And I saw that a lot of people had a problem with how implausible the book was, which like ties into my suspension of disbelief. And I agree with it to a certain extent. Some of the comments were really, really harsh, which is like, obviously you're more than welcome to rate a book however you feel and give whatever thoughts you want. And there were aspects of the book where I was like, man, that really just happened. Like, for example, there was a portion of the book where they're keys. Pippa and Sal's brother are trying to break into Andy's house, or what was Andy's house, and they do so by finding a spare key in the wind chimes in the backyard. And I'm just like, first of all, it's 2019, and the book is taking place in 2019. Even though it's a small town, I currently live in a small town, I do not leave a spare key anywhere, let alone in wind chimes. And then you also find out later that Pippa and her family leave a spare key under their mat of their front porch, and it's just like, I feel like in 2019 people don't do that anymore. I could be wrong, and it could just be my bias. If you know someone that does it or you do it, then great, more power to you. But it was really easy to break into that girl's house, and finding a spare key outside, I just feel like is not something that would happen in 2019. Also, not having an alarm. They were just able to unlock the door and walk in, no alarm, nothing like that to disarm. And it's just like, again, yes, I understand small town, but 2019 and we're in America. Like, this book is taking place in America. I feel like most people would have an alarm, or at the very least do not leave spare keys outside. That was my first like red flag, like, whoa, that's not gonna happen. My next one is Pippa's ability to just always be in the right place at the right time to either catch someone doing something wrong or get the information that she needs at that precise moment was just a little irritating at some points. And it's just, especially because she puts herself in really dangerous positions, like when she's following a drug dealer, or when she's just driving into another town in the middle of the night following a guy. Like, she puts herself in really, really dangerous positions, and somehow it just always works out for her. And I don't, mind you, there is the portion at the end of the book where it almost didn't work out for her, but there were so many other points before that where it shouldn't have went that smoothly at all. I feel like it was really easy for this teenage girl to solve a murder that a lot of people were trying to cover up. And, you know, you just have this 16, 17-year-old girl come and blow it all out of the water. So that was a little bit hard to digest. And then another thing was people's willingness to talk to, again, a teenage girl who is supposedly doing her project on a case that happened 5 years ago that people are actively trying to cover up, and people are just willing to give her all this information, was just a little bit like, I don't know, it seemed a little bit odd for me. And her ability to continuously blackmail people into giving her information, I was like, even the evidence that she was using to blackmail them, I was like, you know, she knew that the evidence that she was using to blackmail people was not enough, but somehow the people who were older than her that she was blackmailing didn't realize that. And I was just like, that's a little bit shysty, but it's okay, I'll let it go, it's fine. The very last thing for me where I was just like, okay, you know, there's no way this book could be 5 stars, I'm sorry, is when we realized that the girl that Naomi's dad has kidnapped and had in an attic for 5 years is not Andy. Take this in. Okay, backstory. So, Andy was seeing an older man who was a teacher at the school, and I don't remember what she wanted or how she ended up at the teacher's house on the night of her murder, but he gets into a scrap with her, and I think she either pushes her or she falls backward, hits her head, stumbles out of the house. He goes, a couple days go by, he doesn't see her. He's not the one who killed her, but he doesn't see her. And he sees another girl wandering into town that looks like Andy, picks her up thinking that it's Andy, takes her to his old house that nobody lives in anymore, stuffs her in the attic, and has been keeping her there for 5 years. Tell me this. Andy is the girl that you supposedly had a sexual relationship with. How is it that you kidnap another girl thinking that it's Andy and you keep her there for 5 years? Not to mention the girl that he kidnapped has a mental disability. She only functions to the point of about a 12-year-old. This man is a professor, okay? He was a university professor and now he is teaching at the high school. You're telling me you didn't realize the girl that you picked up and were storing in your attic for 5 years had some sort of a mental disability and was not the girl that you slept with? Really? All because she had blonde hair and a similar nose? That really annoyed me. I was really upset with the ending of this book, and that's where I was like, okay, I am done. It kind of saved itself when we realized that it's actually Andy's sister who didn't kill her, but watched her die, essentially. Andy, when she hits her head, she actually hits it really, really hard. Her head is bleeding. She goes home, and it's just her sister there. Her sister is complaining to her about another event that happened a couple weeks ago that was kind of Andy's fault. Andy blows her off. The sisters get into it, and her sister pushes Andy, so Andy falls yet again, and I think she has like a seizure or something, and she dies on the floor. So the sister, thinking that she pushed her harder than she did, takes Andy's body and dumps her in a septic tank somewhere. fine, okay, whatever. Andy's sister is a murderer. I'm okay with that. I can live with that. But I can't live with someone kidnapping a girl, thinking she's someone else, and keeping her in the attic for 5 years, not realizing she's not Andy. I can't stomach that. And honestly, I had to really sit back because that aspect of the book was going to make me rate this like 2 or 3 stars. But then I looked at all the other things that I actually did like about the book, and I left it at 4 stars. But that one aspect of the book just, it killed me. I was like, no, this is like, it completely faltered for me there. I also had an alternative ending that I liked for the book. I wanted Naomi and her dad to be in on the murder together because they both really didn't like Andy, but that's fine. That doesn't matter. That's not how the book ended. And yeah, so the suspension of disbelief for this book, you really kind of have to take that in and roll with it if you're gonna enjoy the book. If you can't do that, then I would just skip this mystery because it's just, I don't know, it is what it is. Overall, like I said, I would recommend the book. I wouldn't recommend it to somebody who is like a seasoned murder mystery reader. I would recommend it to somebody who is like me and is now really like getting into murder mysteries, or someone who likes like a light murder mystery, like doesn't want to be scared but still wants to enjoy a murder mystery. This is the perfect book for that. Like, it was a good book, it's just the ending killed it for me. It really did kill it for me. There is going to be a second installment of the book. I think Pippa has to go off and solve another murder through a podcast or something. I might listen to it, I might not. I don't know, we'll see. But those are my thoughts on A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Yeah, I'm sorry if this review got a little bit rambly, and I know I said the word like a lot in this video. I swear I'm working on that, but you know, it is what it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, so like I said, thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!